in the state of the world. I'm a little concerned about that. So, I believe I did it already. I don't see anybody in my backstage, so I'm a little concerned about that. I'm pretty sure I did ask for folks to come on up. We had Antonio Stewart yesterday. He said he wanted to come up. So if he's here today, this is your opportunity. So there you go. There's the link. Go ahead and join up. We can go back and forth, whatever's on the forefront of your mind and heart, whatever's plaguing you, maybe some life issues. Maybe you just want to share with me who you're going to vote for in the next election. Because that's coming up. You got to start preparing for that. Well, Disciple of Messiah says, it's funny how all the conspiracies are coming to fruition and being revealed. Well, no. You'd like to think that, right? Because you're probably a schizophrenic. You probably take multiple different types of drugs for your mental health, and you probably think the sun's following you around with it. So, it's important for folks like you, just keep your theories to yourself, because, again, I've laid out here over and over again the official sources from the experts showing that all the heart attack and stroke and genocide that's happening is not actually from the vaccines or the treatments. It's from things like the weather and climate change. So I would appreciate if you would stay out of the chat with that, because they might have to ban you or block you in order to continue the broadcast. It's just part of doing business. Don't take it personal. I want to come up, but I'm running the hotel at the moment. Also cooking dinner at the same time as listening and chatting. Won't be able to give full attention yet. That's fine. I'm not going to judge that one way or the other. You're running a hotel. You got things to do, right? You're not just some lowlife in the car rambling at the camera like I am. How can I be down on it? But we have someone, Thomas Aquinas. We have non-compliance. Now we have blood. Can you hear me? Thomas?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Well, how are you, Thomas, on this fine, beautiful day? Bright and sunny, right. Climate change everywhere. How are you doing?
Just dealing with life as life deals with us.
Man, how do you deal with life? What is your process? Any drugs or alcohol today, Thomas? Anything I need to know about? Guns, knives, anything that can stick or poke me?
All of it.
All of it. All right, well, we got ourselves an official right-wing, racist, white, sovereign, citizen, conspiracy theorist, extremist. We're going to learn a lot today.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird out here. I'm just trying to wake everyone up. Like, I have a new son, and man, I really got to fight my family for them to understand that it isn't just the COVID vaccine that's full of shit.
See, this is something that, I may question you to get more of your perspective, but I can't, I could never sit up here in a broadcast and say the COVID vaccine is bullshit, right? So you have a belief, is how we frame it, that the vaccines are nonsense. And again, stop me where I'm wrong here. I'm going to kind of tell you what I'm getting from you. Stop me where I'm wrong. The majority of the world is in the hands of the dark ones, something along those lines. The most of the world is spiritually bankrupt, does not have a foundational principle for anything that they do, is motivated strictly by worldly pleasures, money, power, and status. Something along those lines is what I'm getting from you.
Yep. That or they're just in the cult of personality, lost in the sauce.
Cult of personality, lost in the sauce. Well, that's part of it, isn't it? Part of this empowerment, idol worship that the scripture talks about. Everybody wanting a daddy, everybody wants somebody else to do it and be it for them. Right? Like Mr. Laporta says in the chat, Donnie. They're still cheering on Donnie. They want Donnie to come back. They think he's going to drain the swamp again. He's going to do it all for them. Why should we have to be great men and women to make the country great again?
They're the same Donnie that is very rich, very involved, trying to take away your guns, has the same boss advice, pushing the vaccine as part of everyone else. Yeah, he's really for the people.
Well, again, it sounds good what you just said. You're maybe like caught up on certain different facts and understandings. And I mean, that might be true. I don't know. I'm definitely not going to go look it up. But what I can tell you is that the only way we have to make change is to continue to vote. Is there any way you can turn me down the background? I'm hearing myself and I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit. I'm starting to just really disconnect even more. I don't even know who I am or where I am anymore. Is there any way that you can lower me down in the background?
You can hear me? I'm sorry, you can
Oh,
hear
I can
yourself?
hear you loud and clear.
But you can hear yourself as well? Yeah, headphones
Yeah, you know what? It might just be me because I did take another booster yesterday. I've been taking one a day because you can't be too safe, and that might mean that it's working. I figure if my ears are ringing and I'm starting to black out, right? I'm starting to see my vision narrow, and I'm feeling like I'm losing consciousness, but that might just mean that it's working. So let's carry on, right? Yeah, like the guy said yesterday, all we can really do is run for office or vote for people who are running in office to make change. So, hey, I don't make the rules, and given the choice, I choose lesser of two evils every time, right? Joe Biden's really evil, Donnie Trump not so much, so I'm going to have to go ahead and vote for Donnie Trump next time, right? And I'm sure that everything will improve in the future.
and that's your right to suffer, right? Edge, right to suffer.
Yeah, I might have to go ahead and get you off here because you're making me and others very uncomfortable about our country and the state of the world and the state of affairs right now. We really just need some hope. We don't need your negativity. We need something to hope on. We need something to believe on. And for now, it's going to have to be Donnie Trump and QAnon. Because, again, you know what it really is? I just realized you're not up on all the secret codes that are coming out on the message boards, right? You're not up on all the codes and all the secrets. See, there's only a few of us who've really been tuned in and informed, so you're probably not up on that. So, you just really don't get it. You're going to have to sit back and watch and trust the plan. But JFK Jr. and Tupac actually never died. That was revealed on the message boards. They're not actually dead, and they're actually working with the military, higher-ups, and Donald Trump to save the country from what we've created. So you just keep on being negative. What was that?
I said, don't forget Elvis.
Yeah, well, Elvis. No, see, now you're being silly. Elvis is clearly dead. But we love Elvis, even though he was, by all accounts, having sex with teenage women, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, I believe. We love him, and we're not going to focus on that because he was really good at singing and dancing. See, you're really un-American is what I'm getting from you. You're extremely un-American. You're unpatriotic and you're un-American. And you probably should leave, right? I don't really, I and other patriotic Americans don't want to live around folks like you, so you should go to Russia or North Korea or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, Russia did, kick the Rothschild fractional reserve banking system out of their country.
So you're going to come right out here and support the Russians. With everything going on with Ukraine, right? We're over here supposed to be standing with Ukraine. We're trying to send them aid. And yeah, forget about the fact that the guy who's in office right now and his whole family have been doing backroom deals with Ukraine and other folks there involved in drugs and sex trafficking. I mean, that's what the QAnon board says. I wouldn't say that, and I'm not too sure what to make because I don't know what's real anymore. But again, I just need something to hope on and believe on. So, okay, so let me ask you this then, smart guy. Since you're so smart with all your negativity, right? Who are you going to vote for?
I would rather not vote. I would rather hold my public servants accountable as opposed to choose a lesser of evils, enact my right to suffer. I think I'm good on that.
Yeah, it's all about you, right? That's all it's about. You're not a team player. It's just all about you. You don't want to suffer. You want rights and freedoms, blah, blah, blah. But you're not going to uphold your rights and privilege to vote and help change this country. And that's why things are going to get worse. Because you're not using your voice.
I mean, voting, that's like picking between a knife and a gun to go help somebody who's drowning. It's great. It's a great choice. Don't give me a life raft. Give me a knife and a gun.
just don't really get it, is what it is. Did you graduate from high school?
Unfortunately,
You did. So I don't know. Maybe like you fell through the safety net. Maybe one of those Head Start, No Child Left Behind folks who fell through the safety net. Because you don't seem like you're well educated, right? Did you go to college?
a little bit.
A little bit. Can I ask what you do for a living?
Survey land.
Survey land. I don't really know much about that. I don't really know what that really means. I don't know much about that. But you're not in the civil service field, so you clearly don't care about people. You're not a policy enforcement. You don't work for social services. You talk about rights and freedoms, and I just heard the word land. So I'm going to have to go ahead and guess that you are, in fact, one of these selfish, right-wing, sovereign citizen extremists who's not a team player, doesn't care about the rest of us, doesn't care about this country where it's going. It's all about you and what you're going to get done. Isn't that right, sir?
I guess you're a little close.
All right. All right. Well, it's good. It's good because part of the re-education process and what I want to help facilitate here is because, again, I used to be, as they say, a right-wing, white, privileged, nationalist, sovereign, citizen, conspiracy theorist, extremist. And I've since changed my ways. So one of the things I want to facilitate here on the broadcast is I want to bring folks on who are repentant, right? Who see the error in their ways, and I want to help them to move into the new way of being, the new world, so to speak. Are you willing to do that here today, or at least give it some thought in the future?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I am ashamed of in the working land surveying is you're very involved with the legal system. You're very involved with, say, tearing down 500 acres of natural area in order for some rich guy to build up 400 townhomes. So, I mean, it's pretty disgusting at times. So I'm kind of involved with this wholesome, disgusting nature of society.
Well, again, see, you don't really understand the nuances of civilization. If you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. Sometimes, you got to cut down a few hundred acres of trees, which, some folks have said in the past that trees are how we breathe and that without them we'll die, much like the bees and other animals, that there's something called an ecosystem. But I don't choose to buy into that, right? I don't believe in that. What I know is that there's big business in chopping down all the forests and getting contracts to own them by the government, right? Even though the government can't actually own anything because it's not a man woman. Forget about all that, right? Again, there's a fine line between making a lot of money and also keeping people safe. And I don't think that you're seeing the middle ground here. I don't think, again, you're seeing the art of how it all works.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just lost in the sauce.
That's the thing. See, a lot of you folks are real arrogant. You come on here with your white privilege, you start talking about what you know, what's self-evident, inalienable rights and all that, and then by the end of the conversation, you're starting to rethink everything. And again, that's the value of what I do here. So thank me. I would appreciate if you thank me.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Not Slaved Anymore.
I appreciate you. Well, we're going to change that moniker too, because what I find is that the term unslaved is a bit microaggressive, tends to make people feel unsafe and uncomfortable. So I'm going to have to come up with a new moniker. So something along the lines of safety and regulation. I think that'll put everyone at ease.
I mean,
We're all
yeah,
in this together.
if you're not worried about the next person's health, are you really worried?
Just keep your theories to yourself, because again, I've laid out here over there. You see this guy Yuri, all the usual suspects making the same claims day in and day out that they don't need everybody anymore, and they're going to figure out a way to get rid of everybody. But it's for everybody's safety because climate change. So this is something that keeps coming up. I've shown accept that we are a democracy and that it's very unsafe, and there's certain things we're going to need to do if we want to get that democracy back on track and get it to be safer. So good evening, excuse me, good morning. I'm almost in my second childhood at this point. I'm losing my mind. Good afternoon. Good day, Nicholas Ramos. Good to see you here. Singe Man, you as well. MacIver, a lot of the usual folks. So I did go ahead and put the link, because what we like to do here nowadays is bring folks up and have it back and forth a little bit. Um, I like the interchange, uh, or the exchange, excuse me. Um, I got a couple things here. I may just run through them. Tested the system, right? Get back to some of the old ways. You know, I used to come on here and present. Used to have illustrations to present, videos and whatnot. So some folks like it, some folks don't. But who really cares about what some folks think? So got a few things here, some interesting stuff, right? Because current events is where it's at. It's good for the algorithm. People like the news. They like current events. They like to stay up to date on the latest trends. So in fashion news, right, you might have been seeing this going around. This apparently is the new fashion for 2022 and 2023. Um, you'll see there, this young woman has somebody else draped around her neck. And so I've started thinking that maybe I come up with my own fashion line, right? The Summer Slave, by Gucci, right? You just start that will be the new status symbol. That will be the new uh, in vogue trend. Will be you'll carry a slave around your neck, dressed in different apparel and attire, tied up with some apparatus. So I just found that to be interesting. Maybe it's not your thing, but I'm always looking for new ways to innovate uh, and create. So one of these freaks, excuse me, one of these experts, I must have been looking in the chat and I got the terms confused. One of these experts from uh, uh, the World Economic Forum, Mr. Noah Harari, spills the beans, apparently, according to official sources. And he says that we just don't need the vast majority of people anymore. Hate to break it to you, folks. Go on and get grandma, get everyone around the table because Yuri says that, World Economic Forum and all the top echelon of folks with all the money and power say they really just don't need us anymore. So maybe this is something to do with that whole non-essential thing. If you remember, everyone got locked down in a free society for their safety, of course. Um, yeah, they were saying that folks were non-essential anymore, right? Like you just weren't really needed. We don't really need you. So it's just kind of interesting, me being a theorist and all. It's just kind of interesting how a lot of these things start to line up. You see Uncle Billy up there. You see this guy Yuri, all the usual suspects making the same claims day in and day out that they don't need everybody anymore, and they're going to figure out a way to get rid of everybody. But it's for everybody's safety because climate change. So this is something that keeps coming up. I've shown something similar before. Please avert your eyes if you have a weak stomach. If there's children in the room, bring them closer because they may remember back to the fond memories when, if you're a member of this specific cult, religion and society. This is an image. Let me take this down. Let me take down this this chat commentary if I can. So you can really just kind of bask in the wholeness of this imagery here. So this is an image, right? Some folks would say that the world is populated by different mind-controlled cults, all who do harm to themselves and each other, involved in sickness and perversion. I wouldn't say that today because this is part of the official broadcast and official sources, and that would be conspiracy theory. But this one religion here, this one society, this one culture, we're not picking on them per se. They like to cut the skin off the genitals of the young ones and then suck on it. And people can't seem to figure out why all the babies are now being born with different STDs, herpes, and such. Again, I don't mean to be graphic, rude, crude, and lewd. I'm just kind of putting forth, again, some imagery for you to kind of take in and get a little more understanding about the world we live in. So, just another day, if you're part of this religion, this society, this culture, cutting the skin off the genitals of babies and then sucking on them. And then the herpes that comes about after that, I'm sure, is just part of God's will. I'm not up on a lot of the finer points of being a holy man, right? Again, I was never really formally educated in any of the institutions. I'm a very uncultured man. Some may say an idiot, right? Completely outside the scope of professionalism and the institutional society. So yeah, I don't know too much about being a holy man and spirituality, but apparently this is one of the finer points, one of the nuances is cutting genitals and sucking on them and giving babies herpes. So we're gonna move on. We're not gonna spend too much time on that. Just kind of an unrelated thing I always find interesting. And there's many examples of them if you go around the world. Interesting behaviors, hashtag interesting behaviors, we call it. Social isolation, loneliness is raising the risk of death from heart attack and stroke by nearly a third. So, all you folks who find yourselves like me, I mean, it's starting to rack up. If you don't see me here one day, we'll all know the reason why. They say sarcasm is causing heart attacks and strokes to go up. They say loneliness or solitude, being by yourself, is causing heart attacks and strokes to go up. So, make sure you get on out there and start mingling and socializing with your nearest slaves, right? Love your slave neighbors as you love yourself, right? That's one of the things I learned from scripture. Forget about the fact that they want to take your rights and freedoms and your abilities in the name of safety. Just go along to get along. So get on out there. Don't spend too much time away from the socializing in modern day society because you're missing out on a lot and you're putting yourself at risk of heart attacks and strokes. And I want to be clear, the heart attacks and strokes is definitely not from the vaccine. So hashtag anything but the vaccine, climate change, sleeping in wrong positions, marijuana, sex toys, gardening, shoveling snow, and now we have being alone too much. So yeah, it's important also too. Like, let me get on here so I can look you right in the lens. It's important to understand also that you don't want to spend too much time alone because you may start to look at yourself and what you're up to, and that'll get you upset. That might get you anxious and depressed, and then you'll be on a whole new host of medication. So definitely don't spend too much time alone looking at yourself and what you're up to. Get on out there. The whole world out there for you. So on to the next one. Um, Similar, not the same. Rise in heart disease may be explained by extreme weather conditions, right? So watch out for the weather. I want you all to pay close attention to the weather and stay far away from it. At least 82 cases of the tomato flu. And no, this is not Babylon B. This is not satire. This is not sarcasm. This is official sources. Feel free to go out and check the sources and come back to me if I'm remiss. So they say 82 cases of tomato flu have been reported in children in India. Some folks out there would say that the tomato flu is caused by the toxic soup that's being given out liberally worldwide. You know, Africa, India, they have a few lawsuits against Uncle Billy because, you know, he gave a few 100,000 children some viruses and diseases. But I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure there was just some kind of misunderstanding and mistake. So, new variant, new flu going around, tomato flu. I'm sure we'll have a vaccine. So, well, one can only hope that we will have the latest vaccine to protect us from this now because I'm starting to get afraid of this. There's so many new things coming about to be afraid of. I'm starting to forget to be afraid of the old stuff. White House strategy for monkeypox. That's another one. I almost forgot, right? Tomato flu came up, and I almost forgot all about the monkeypox and gorilla pox. So the chaos is out in the field, they say. All the reports are it's chaos out in the field. They don't know what to do. It's the latest hiccup in the administration facing amid broad criticism over the monkeypox. It's messaging to the LGBTQ communities about the virus risks, and it goes on to talk about the chaos out in the streets because nobody knows what to do and what to take next to feel safe. But again, just trust the science, hashtag experts, heroes. You may even want to start going to college to be in the healthcare field. I know a lot of folks, you know, they're getting out there. I'm seeing them on social media. Yeah, we signed up to be a nurse and be a doctor in the healthcare field. That's good because we're going to need a lot more frontline heroes for what's coming in the future, right? Like Billy says, we're not even close to done with pandemics and viruses. There's going to be way more. So we got a lot more to do, a lot more to prepare for. In other news, don't think too hard about whether fast food is healthy or not, right? Again, official sources, official news, trust the science. So a college graduate, right? Somebody clearly smarter and more adept than me. I've never been to college. Uh, you know, a college graduate in Lexington, Virginia, recently decided to eat nothing but fast food for 30 days. And what they found out was that fast food is actually one of the most healthy things that you could imbibe in, that you could put into your body. So again, like the headline says, don't be thinking too much about what you're putting into your vessel. Just go on in there, Go along and get along. Get that fast food. It's real cheap. It's real easy. It's real fast, and according to all official sources, extremely nutritious. Last one here, right? You might be wondering what's behind me, the background for today. Well, it just so happens it's the president's family tree. You may or may not know or remember that on the side of the road, I was speaking to officer, a man acting as an officer named uh, Ricky Valdez. Ricky Valdez, I told him at the time that 42 out of 43 presidents, right? So pretty much all of them except for one at the time. Maybe we're going back a few years at this point. I think there's 45 at this point. So, yeah, all the presidents except for one related to one king goes back to apparently a certain secret society or openly secret society, if you want to call it that. You know, the usual, the usual. So again, just keep on voting. Get out there during your next election. Just keep on voting. Like the guy said yesterday, maybe I run for office. I'll go get my genealogy checked out. Maybe I'm related to that one king uh, from 500 years ago, whatever it is, right? I'm sure that there's no theory there, or excuse me, I'm sure there's no conspiracy there. I'm sure that there's nothing we really even need to look at. It's probably just more conspiracy theories, more extremist right wing sovereign citizen propaganda from the back channels of YouTube. Just more detritus. So don't look at that. Don't focus on that. All the fact that government is a family business and that all of them are related. I'm sure that it's just one big coincidence. And again, that's backed by mainstream official sources and news. So nobody can claim that that hasn't been confirmed. So uh, I believe I did it already. I don't see anybody in my backstage, so um, I'm a little concerned about that because I'm pretty sure I did ask for folks to come on up. We had Antonio Stewart yesterday. He said he wanted to come up. So if he's here today, this is your opportunity. So there you go. There's the link. Go ahead and join up. We can go back and forth, whatever's on the forefront of your mind and heart, whatever's plaguing you, maybe some life issues. Uh, maybe again, maybe you just want to share with me who you're going to vote for in the next election because that's coming up. We got to start preparing for that. Well, Disciple of the Messiah says it's funny how all the conspiracies are coming to fruition and being revealed. Well, no, um, you'd like to think that, right? Because you're probably a schizophrenic. You probably take multiple different types of drugs for your mental health, and you probably think the sun's following you around all day. So, it's important for folks like you, just keep your theories to yourself because, again, I've laid out here over and over again the official sources from the experts showing that all the heart attack and stroke and genocide that's happening is not actually from the vaccines or the treatments. It's from things like the weather and climate change. So I would appreciate if you would stay out of the chat with that because I might have to ban you or block you in order to continue the broadcast. It's just part of doing business. Don't take it personal. I want to come up, but I'm running the hotel at the moment. Also cooking dinner at the same time as listening and chatting. Won't be able to give full attention yet. That's fine. I'm not going to judge that one way or the other. You're running a hotel. You got things to do, right? You're not just some lowlife in the car rambling at the camera like I am. How can I be down on it? We have someone, Thomas Aquinas. We have non-compliance. Uh-oh. Now we have a flood. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Thomas?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear
Well, how
me.
are you, Thomas, on this fine, beautiful day? Bright and
I'm
sunny,
all right.
climate change everywhere. How are you doing?
Just dealing with life as life deals with us.
Okay, and how do you deal with life? What is your process? Any drugs or alcohol today, Thomas? Anything I need to know about? Guns, knives, anything that could stick or poke me?
All of it.
All of it. All
All of it,
right. Well,
officer.
we got ourselves an official right wing, racist, white, sovereign, citizen, conspiracy theorist, extremist. We're going to learn a lot today, I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, shit's weird out here. I'm just trying to wake everyone up. Like I have a new son, and man, I really gotta fight my family for them to understand that it isn't just the COVID vaccine that's full of shit.
Oh, so okay, so yeah, see, this is something that, like I may question you to get more of your perspective, but I can't, I could never sit up here in a broadcast and say that the COVID vaccine is bullshit, right? So you have a belief, is how we frame it, that the these morbidly obese folks.
I mean, if we were just feeding the society with food that wasn't tainted by glyphosate, I feel like a lot of that would start to filter out. And then after that, we could just help people that want to help themselves, get on a better diet, get on a better maybe workout plan, and to each their own. You want to be fat? I want you to be fat. But a lot of people that are overweight in their own heads, they don't want to be that way. But again, can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped.
All right, well, I'm slightly overweight, and I'm starting to feel kind of insulted by you. So I might have to let you go here shortly. Do you have anything else that's on the forefront of your mind and heart? Maybe some questions for me. Maybe the folks in the chat have some questions for you, right? I want you to feel safe here. I want you to feel inclusive. But once you go to proving that you're one of these deplorable folks who's a lesser being, right? I start feeling like you're dehumanized, and then I can just kind of attack you and degrade you in order to show everybody what's true and what's right. So there's a conflict within me, right? I want everyone to feel safe and inclusive, but again, as soon as I recognize that you're a bad man, I might have to come down all over you and block you and ban you and make an example out of you for everyone else, because it's important that we learn. This has to stop. It has to change.
Well, I mean, despite that there's no record of a man named Jesus, but there's record of all types of people before and after. There was still a little thing in the New Testament where he said that, I believe he said it to God, that, don't hurt them for they know not what they do, speaking about the Jews that killed him. So I feel like maybe that's an approach that a lot of us can take is, don't hate your neighbor just because they're stupid. Maybe try to help them. And, some people, you can lead a horse to water scenario, and other people, you don't know the power of planting a seed. And maybe that will germinate and grow just from a little bit of help.
Fascinating. So I never got to ask you, what in fact are your pronouns so that I can refer to you correctly? Someone in the chat brought that up, and
Oh,
it is, again, it's very important. I'm still learning, right? I wanted to
I'm a
be
they,
clear that
them.
I'm still learning. You're a they, them?
Yep.
All right. Do you go by any name? Do you go by any like given name or like a person that you want to be identified with?
You can just call me Tom. I'm a huge Tom, they, them.
Tom, they, them. Okay, well, that's interesting. I like that. Again, I think Tom is learning a lot here. We seem to be having an influence on him. He's starting to become more inclusive as we speak.
Right. I didn't
Again,
even think about a pronoun before today.
well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of times you really don't know what you want and need until somebody else brings it to your attention. So that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to kind of bring up all the things you didn't know you wanted and needed, and kind of just force you to have them, because again, it's for your own good, right?
I mean, anything to help me grow in this obviously lovely society that has been built by, I don't know, not the powers that be, but we built this. The 1% didn't build it.
Well, I mean, as you know, Barry said you didn't build it. I mean, you didn't build that. This society was built by loving and caring people. Some of the names that come to mind are Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, Donald Trump, Joseph Biden, George Bush, right? That's who really took the reins and led this country where it is, where you see it now today. So, again, it's important that we give all the credit and the glory where it's due to the leadership of this country.
Yeah, the leadership of this country. How about that? That's quite a word. Quite a word.
Hey, so how are you? So where are you at? Are you enjoying the benefits of what Joey Biden's been doing lately, bringing all the gas down? The gas has come way down for the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't been doing too much driving around, and I mean, if I've got to drive, I got to pay whatever gas price is out there, or make my own sort of fuel to offset it.
Oh,
Change
so
my
you're
car
poor.
around.
So you're
So, yeah,
poor.
well, you could call it that.
Okay, so like, why aren't you in any kind of like government assistance or something like that? I mean, I'm sure there's got to be some programs in your area to get you the help that you need.
I honestly don't want to involve myself with potential criminals and pedophiles and whatnot. So, but no, I've been out of work because my son's been born, so I've been driving a lot around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I've been driving all over, man. I've been burning gas. I've been like covering stuff in gas and just lighting it on fire just to see it burn. Ever since gas went down, like I think dollar 50. We went from 5.50 down to 4.50. So, I mean, again, Joey Biden's like building back better, and he's getting everything back under control, and I'm thankful and grateful for that.
Yeah, nothing like the Rockefeller oil and medical system to get us back on our feet. They concoct the problem,
Yeah,
create the solution, and here we are, happy that we're paying 350 or 450 instead of 5 or 650.
you know what, Tom, I'm gonna have to let you go, man. I'm gonna have to let you go. We appreciate your time here. You had some interesting thoughts. I think that we all learned a lot together, but I just can't have that. I just can't have too much of that. So I thank you. I appreciate it. Plus, we have other people, right? We have other
Yes, sir.
guests who want to come up. So, Tampa Retired Police is back today. Um, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that, Tom. We thank you for your time. I'm going to send you some literature. I'm going to send you some literature on how you can immediately improve yourself and become a more valuable part of society and the collective. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
So there you have it. A great example. And again, I'll be working behind the scenes with YouTube and various agencies to triangulate on that man's position and to have all the proper agencies be summoned to deal with him uh, forthwith. Because again, that man is in need of some help, and our best people know just the kind of help to give him. Right? Um, where you at, retired policeman? Where you at? Tampa. Come in out there. I'm telling you, man. Nixon had a clear connection to the moon back in, what was it, the 70s with a landline. He had the phone with the wire on it and the split screen. He was talking right to the guy on the moon. Hey, what's going on up there? I can't even. I'm 5G. My brain's ringing. I can't even get this guy on here. I can't even hear him. All right. Well, um, hate speech. Exactly. That's what it was. Uh, this is so widespread at this point. You know, it's really a shame how it's gotten this way. It's so widespread. The hate, the discrimination, the lack of inclusion, and the conspiracy theories like, oh, someone's coming for your rights and freedoms. We've been hearing about that for a long time. Someone's coming for your guns, someone's coming for your rights and freedoms. It's like, bro, I go to Walmart every day, you know. Nobody bothers me. So I just don't see what these folks are talking about. What's going on, Tampa retired police?
I'm coming for your guns. Turn them in.
So you are so okay, so you are specifically coming for guns. Are you coming with the costume on or with the costume on or off?
I
Because
don't.
if you come with
It's a joke. Ha ha.
oh, okay. I just wanted to know because again, if you come with the costume on, I might have to come down there with the guns and submit them myself before you even get here. I don't want to be in bad standing with policy enforcement. I want to love and be loved. You're not going to frisk me here today, are you?
No, sorry, you ain't got the right equipment.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say like, not that I wanted that or anything, but I haven't had a lot of intimacy and touch with other humans. So, but let's move on. So, what's on the forefront of your mind and heart today? What are you feeling waking up today after our fascinating interaction yesterday?
I don't feel nothing. I just get up and do my thing.
Okay,
What
so
am I
what
supposed
would
to do?
what are you supposed to do? I don't know. I mean, everyone has to come to that conclusion and understanding for themselves. So, what would your thing be consist of? If you're willing to share nowadays, what would your thing consist of?
Well, I saw something kind of interesting. I said on the news, on YouTube land, I should say. Some guy was asking questions about different things, and he goes, so, and one guy on the podium asked this one guy that was in the audience, now if I had 3 different houses in 3 different states and I was only using one at a time, and you were to go into my house that I wasn't being used, say, in another state, would that be all right? Or would I have a right to have you removed? And he said, well, he don't think anybody should own more than one house, because there's so many people out there that can't afford their own house, you'd be a proverbial asshole for not letting us use the other property. So what would be your take on that?
Do you have more than one house?
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, you may or may not know this, and I'm sure you're okay with it. I'm actually in your other house right now. And
Yeah,
again,
I
I'm
doubt
keeping everything clean, and
yeah,
I'm
you're
washing all the
funny.
utensils.
You believe me, you ain't in any of my house. Because one,
So,
I'm not into Rocky Mountain High, so to speak, and I
all right.
don't like Colorado, as I like to call it. It's too effing cold out there in the wintertime, and you can get snow in July. I've been to Colorado, and yes, it does snow in July in Colorado. So no, thank you. So I
Well, I'm on
highly,
Arizona now.
yeah, and I wouldn't go to Arizona because there's too much freaking sand. If I want to go see a desert, I'll go to Egypt.
Sand and brown people, right?
I don't care what color people are.
Oh, okay. So you asked me if I think that is a sound philosophy.
Yeah.
If I think that it's a sound philosophy to immediately take possession of somebody's property, but again, we're back to, is it really your property? You pay taxes on it. You have a title. You don't have the original deed. All the things under contractual
Oh,
law
I do
kind
have
of
the original deed because I bought it.
okay.
And I
Well,
built
the
the house.
majority of folks,
I bought the land and built the house.
pay taxes on their home and land indefinitely, and their property essentially would be equivalent to state property, like with the vehicle, right? Once you title an automobile, a motor vehicle, once you register it with the state as state property, it now becomes at the whim of the state. So you'd have to ask yourself not what I think about that, but what does the state think about that? Because if we all keep registering all of our property rather than in the private with the state and continue to be taxed on it, well, then it is by definition public property or property of the state. So if they decide at some point with policy and code that you will house somebody in that property, then you'll have to make a decision whether you want to follow that code or not, right? Because again, I just go off of the belief that the majority of code is
It
meant to
ain't
keep
public
people.
property. If someone buys a piece of property, if they pay property tax on that property, it don't make it public property.
Well, again,
I mean, because believe it or not, you do know that there are people out there that do not have to pay property tax if they, like, for instance, I don't pay property tax on either of my houses because I'm disabled American vet as well. So I'm tax exempt. The only thing I have to pay is sewer tax on one, and the other one I pay a very small utility bill because the town taxes are nothing, because the house is not, it's more of a cabin than it is a house.
sure, but the principle is no taxation without representation, and I don't choose to be represented by criminals and liars. So therefore, for many reasons, that being one of them, I'm not subject to taxation and to the policy that comes with it. Because again, this is all out of the idea that folks think they're paying tax to upkeep civilization. The taxation and regulation makes it so that government entities can be in your life and in your business, right? And that's not
They're in your
something.
life either way. You can do whatever you want to do to not pay income tax, but in the long run, you're still paying taxes. I mean, they're still in your life. I mean,
well, you're aware that
you want to say you're not involved in who do you're using a public forum, YouTube. You don't think it's owned by a politician or two got their nose in it?
Sure, but this is my point, is that when you bring regulation into the endeavors of man and woman, you start to blur the line between God-given rights, right? I have a right to free speech within the confines of the United States. Does that change when I turn a camera on? If it changes, how does it change? Well, through policy and regulation, because we, of course, got to keep everybody safe from those words you're talking. So what I'm saying is that this is who you are anywhere is who you are everywhere. If you subscribe to a philosophy on Monday, you have to deal with it on Sunday, right? And this is what we're dealing with. So if you don't subscribe to God-given rights, common sense, conscience, objective logic, morals, and ethics, then the other side of that is man's regulation, man's law, man's policy and code to keep everybody safe from themselves and each other, which leads to entities, agencies, and corporations being in every.
Oh my gosh, Perpetual, you got the comment of the day. Absolute slaughter. Who is this dork? And you're talking about the guy in the chat, right?
Everybody's life and business to where we can't take a shit without being told how much water is going to be flushed down our toilet, which is a real thing in a lot of these counties. Your toilet can't be set.
What do you mean around? What are you talking about? A lot of towns, all toilets are like that. Unless you got something from the 70s or mid 80s. Since then, everything's been a gallon and a half. When I was growing up, the toilets were 5-gallon flushers. Then they went down to 3. I still remember the toilet. It was in our family home. It was 5 gallons every time that toilet flushed. It was like a typhoon coming down. 5 gallons of water to take it home.
Well, in order to keep everyone safe.
Here's a flip side, though. It's kind of interesting. I tell people, back then, you never had a toilet plug up very often. I don't think I remember ever needing a plunger because there was so much water pressure that anything you put, you could put a Buick down the toilet, we used to say, and it would flush it down. Now the new toilets have so little water, they're wimpy. You pee in one and they can flush it and plug it up anymore.
So the toilets have become a lot like the men in this country, weak and wimpy.
You might say
that. And no, I'm not advocating for egoic hierarchies and liberal use of violence. I'm advocating on us at some point in the future, maybe, possibly, saying this far and no further. We want our private property. We want our free choice. We want our ability to create our own destiny as an individual. And we don't want to be regulated by the collective and different corporations and entities.
See, you're skirting the question, though. Do you think it would be if I own 2 properties, if I own
Absolutely
one?
Not. Absolutely not.
I mean, they'd be like saying, wow, you got 2 vehicles, as you call them, your personal property, and you're not using the other one. So I'm going to use the other one and not do any maintenance to it, but I'm going to use it. So if it needs oil change, you do the oil change. If it needs brakes, you do the brakes. I mean,
who's going to enforce that? Who's going to dictate that? We want to live in a lawless society? I said I don't want policy and code. I don't want lawlessness, right? The property I use, maintain, and upkeep is for my disposal, right? If it's trust property, I'm the trustee. I'm the beneficiary, depending on what situation. I decide where that property goes and who has usage of it. You think that it's proper to open up a society, if you want to keep calling it that, a community where anyone just comes into anybody's house and anybody's door and start using the property they're using? Who's going to enforce that? Who's going to regulate that? It's ridiculous. That's communism. That's socialism. And the bottom line is they want to bring that into the psyche of men and women so they can do like they've always done and start bringing troops and different agencies and corporations and house them in people's houses, when they have BLM who they fund, right? Not the authentic men and women who want equal rights for all people. When the corporate entity known as BLM, funded by a bunch of fascists, when they storm around the town burning things down, they're going to expect you to house them, right?
Well,
That's what the bottom
there's
line
kind
of
of a
that is.
disturbing video online a couple years ago, where it happened up, I believe, in Seattle. Bunch of Black Lives Matter group. Is there Seattle? One city, I can't remember. But Black Lives protesters came to the city and said, that used to be our family home. Developers came in, kicked us out. That's our home. Give us our home back. Even though these people had bought it like 20 years later from the developer, these people were saying that they had stolen their property and that they demanded their property back. I can't remember what city it was in. It made the news. It was on YouTube. But that family felt so threatened about that people out there that they actually gave the home to the one man that was outside, saying that that's where his family used to live. He just gave it to him. Took him to a clerk's office and signed it over to him, gave it to him. And he said that he felt victory. I don't know if he felt victory. He scared the living crap out of the people, and they made him do it.
Because folks who have a power base, again, that's what collectivism is, right? It has many forms. I don't care if it's right, left, or indifferent, right? It takes on many forms. The folks that everyone love, that they've been taught to love, all of Israel, right? All of Israel's holy. Everyone there has halos and wings coming off of them. We just love Israel and everything about it. And what are they going around doing there? Telling people, get out of where you've been for thousands of years, because we have a biblical claim to this land. So we live in a time where right and wrong is completely misunderstood ubiquitously, and people are just going with the idea that if I politically have a power base, that I'm going to do whatever I want to do for my own benefit, as long as I can get someone or something to support me, right? So, again, this is a world of demosocracy, which means mob rule in Latin. This is a world of collectivism, which means lacking individuality. Again, mob rule, groupthink. That's why I played the clip in the beginning, right? This is a threat to our democracy. They're all literally reading from a script, 50 different news stations reading from the same script, telling us about democracy. Yeah, it's groupthink collectivism, where the individual will have his rights and property taken at the whim of the mob, right? It's already been like that. That's why I laugh. These neocons talk about socialism and communist collectivism. We've been socialists for a long time. That's what taxation is. We're going to have the government force you to give us some of your earnings. Again, this is all self-identified, so you have a way out. But most people don't know that. They think it's forced. So going from that logic, if it was forced, which it's not, that is socialism. We're going to redistribute the wealth of folks based on how much they make, based on what the corporate entity decides. So none of this behavior is okay. None of this behavior is right unless you consent, which is why I say most folks are consenting and opting in to a policy and code system, a socialist system that they call American politics. But it's really demosocracy. It's mob rule. It's collectivism, even in the name, right? Not only the form and function and style, but the name itself and the etymology.
To sit there and say we don't have to pay taxes, like I said, this country couldn't run without taxes. So we'd have nothing. We'd have no power grids. We'd have no roads.
No,
the
corporation that, if you remember, Donnie shut down the government for a couple weeks there and nothing changed, right? We still had power. We still had everything. Contrary to popular belief, the government is a collection of men and women. So
Donald Trump didn't shut down the government per se. All he did was basically stop payroll. They still showed up to work.
Listen, everything was originally privatized. Men and women built things and created things, and then the government came in to subsidize and take control over things. So there's no reason to believe we couldn't have all the functions of modern day civilization without an autocratic government mismanaging all the contributions.
It's just like your one thing saying we don't need the military. How do you think we could support ourselves if a large country like like Russia. I mean, there's a good example. You got Russia and Ukraine fighting. The people of Ukraine are picking up arms and trying to fight. Do you honestly think Ukraine's going to win that battle?
It's like saying this, right? Right, Tampa? It's like saying this. How do I think the Bloods and Crips are going to continue their enterprise without going to war, stealing property, and doing underhanded underground criminal activity? Well, of course, you can't sustain a United States corporation without a centralized military going around the world, stealing property and profiteering off war. Yeah, of course you can, which is why I say the corporate government should cease to exist. If we, or excuse me, let me correct that immediately. The corporate government should do more and more to regulate the people, to wake them up to the fact that they don't need to self-identify as a member of the body politic. Wow, I almost slipped up there. I in no way want to overthrow anything we call the corporation or the government, right? I want them to get bigger and stronger because that's what people want, until they recognize that there's two laws here. There's two sets of systems here. There's two jurisdictions here. There's two states in each state, the state of and California state. State of California, California state. There's two senators for each state. There's the land and the corporation.
It don't work. It don't work that way. You can say it does. You can, in your mind, you can believe it does, but I guarantee it don't. The whole idea is sending a representative.
I'm saying in your mind and in everyone else's mind, they believe it doesn't work that way. But in actuality, on the papers, in the definition, in the foundation of law, and in all the structure, it does work that way. And when you go into court and ask the judge, what jurisdiction does this court preside over? They will tell you there's two jurisdictions. There's administrative, corporate, commercial, and then there's common law, constitutional. Most folks have been moved out of the constitutional common law jurisdiction and into the public, into the commercial, into the personage, right? That's what a person is a business.
It's just like people get mad when I say it all the time. Okay, now what kind of car you got there?
So Artie's corporate fiction says there aren't two jurisdictions. So according to Artie, the administrator of the court is lying when you go into court and ask him. Two jurisdiction doesn't exist. The given name and the surname, the first and last name doesn't exist. The all caps entity and the regular upper and lowercase given and family name doesn't exist. The idea of agents and persons in U.S. code versus natural persons, two different kind of person, doesn't exist. The idea of driving in motor vehicle being a commercial instrument, even though we have a right to travel, those two jurisdictions don't exist. So again, in these people's world, they'll tell me the world doesn't work that way because they're living in a collective hallucination where they just completely ignore words and terms and meanings and how it all fits together. So continue. You asked me what kind of car I have here.
Yeah, what kind of car you have?
So I have, at this time, a Nissan Maxima, and I have a truck, which would be a Chevy.
What year? We'll just go with your Chevy truck. What year Chevy truck is it? And what kind? S10, full size, you know.
So David asks, are you an ex-cop? Yes, Tampa is a retired police, from all accounts. I cannot verify that firsthand, but he tells me, and I believe him, that he was on the force for 20 years. He's retired. So I have a 2001. I think both are below 2005. So
okay, but Chevy Silverado or S10 pickup.
Sure, yeah. Okay. For the sake of argument, where are we going with this?
No, I'm trying to. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, well, but say you have a Silverado. Okay, that truck new in 2001 was probably $18,000 new. Sound like a fair number?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm willing to go with the premise.
Okay, that same truck today, to buy it new, is almost 80 grand, 60 to 80 grand, depending on what you get on it. And there's people out there that are taking truck. I mean, how many miles are on your 2001 Chevy pickup?
Few 100,000 at least.
We'll say 200,000. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Has the motor been changed?
No.
Transmission?
No.
It's all original.
All original. You want the VIN number?
No, I don't want the VIN. No, the point I'm trying to make. Now you're seeing vehicles because there's a shortage of supplies. They say of these chips to build these cars. My answer is Well, I don't. Why ain't we building them here in the United States and creating jobs right here? That would be one answer I got. Question I have for people. But my thing is, okay, your 200,000 mile truck, I should be able. Do you think it's going to last another 20 years with very little maintenance?
The probability is very low that it will.
Exactly. Now, if you use that for a weekend warrior truck, like going to get material and only use it once every weekend or every other weekend, hell, that truck, you can keep that going for another 20 years. But yet, I see people taking trucks just like yours. I don't know what is the body in good shape, no rust. They'll sell that truck for as much or more than it was new. And when you tell them only a fool would spend that much, well, it's the market. The market bears that. The only reason why the market bears these stupidly overpriced vehicles that are used and aren't really worth that is because people are foolish enough to pay that. If everybody just looked at it and said, look, that truck was 20 grand new, the insurance, this is where the insurance will get, the NAD Blue Book value might be 3 grand. If you did get in an accident and someone hit you, the most you would get is 3 grand. But yet these people are paying 15, 20 grand for a vehicle that's not worth that much. They mass produced in 2001, there was probably 500,000 Chevy Silverado pickup trucks produced. And yet, so only a fool would pay as much money for that used vehicle as they did when it was brand new. Because it won't last another 20 years. It can't. Not without putting tons and tons of money into it. But people and most of the high prices we're seeing now, it's not so much that they cost to produce more, it's because people are stupid enough to pay those prices. If people just walked into a store or a car dealership and said, okay, enough's enough. Or even these people that are selling them. Like if you said, I'm going to sell that, and that's what the market will bear, I'm going to sell my truck for 20 grand. I'm going to look at you and say, kiss my white ass. Because I'm not paying you what that truck was new.
Okay, so where are we going with this as far as how it relates to?
But that's half the reason why we're in the pickle we're in, because people are falling for the crap. They're saying, well, we got to do it, or we'll go without. I'd walk before I'd pay as much for a vehicle that was 20 years old, pay the same price. But people keep falling for the same crap. It's just like,
well, it's just like you just told me, we can't have roads and power and all the things that we enjoy in modern civilization without the corporation we call government, which literally just mismanages all that money and goes and hires people from the private sector to do all those functions. So we could literally
I think we could do it, but it has to be redirected. That's why I said, like me, I'd probably be assassinated by my own Congress if I was president, because I'd be the one to look at this budget and say, well, wait a second. How come we're ordering 5,000 rolls of toilet paper for the White House? And might have are the cabinet and the president and their family that full of shit that we need 5,000 rolls at $5,000? Who's getting the money for that $5,000 roll of toilet paper? Is that $5,000 roll of toilet paper per roll reproducing itself? Is that $5,000 roll of toilet paper tearing off pieces of itself and wiping my ass for me? I can you justify that price?
Hey, do you remember when they say that Barry Obama, and then I want you to tell me what the Masons think of me before I forget, since you're apparently a Mason according to you. Remember when Barry Obama ordered like $60,000 worth of hot dogs one night to the White House? So I mean, this is what you and I are paying for when we like self-identify as entities of the body politic, like part of the corporate body politic and the corporate United States and the democracy. This is what we're paying for with our tax money, is $60,000 worth of hot dogs one night.
Yeah, and those $60,000 worth of hot dogs probably didn't amount to more than a couple hundred hot dogs.
I mean, listen, there's just a better way to do this, right? If you want male hookers, we don't have to like lie about it and call it hot dogs, and I could get you probably a way better price. Like, there's some folks back in Denver who got to be willing to work for way cheaper than $60,000 a night. Just my presumption. But when you get government involved and you get official positions, sex workers get expensive. Now you got to start lying and hiding it.
Anyways, I just thought this is interesting. Paul usually never talks like this, so he's doing some experiment. It seems like, but I'm not sure if